There have been several bills proposed about regulating Bitcoin here in California for state money transmission license. I won't go through all of them, but the one that's been introduced very recently, at the end of February as a matter of fact, you might want to jot this down, is AB 1489. AB 1489. Definitely commit that to memory. Look it up, read into it. I'm on public record as saying it's basically BitLicense Lite. It is very comprehensive. I would argue over the top in terms of licensing. The requirements are very in-depth. Not only is it everything that FinCEN expects, like an AML program, right? Record keeping and reporting, but it also requires things like information security policy, fraud prevention, data continuity. There's also net worth requirements, right? So we're deliberately taking advantage of people that don't have as much money as rich people. And there are other requirements, surety bonds, really a lot of barriers to entry to actually get that license. And it would be encapsulated in 1489. 1489 is based off of the Uniform Law Commission, ULC. So the ULC, Uniform Law Commission, is a bunch of lawyers that get together from all the different states. I think there's 300-400 of them. From all the different states, they get together and they decide, hey, we're going to put together a recommendation for what state licensing should be. Now, this group is non-binding, but they have a degree of influence, and I would argue they give a degree of cover fire for things like AB 1489. So anyway, 1489, the Uniform Law Commission, again, a group of lawyers get together from all the different states, and they're trying to have some sort of uniform regulation for state money transmission of crypto. Unfortunately, they picked one that I vehemently disagree with. The big problem with this is it doesn't have the exceptions that I think it should have. So it does have exceptions for academic research, which I think we can all think that's pretty cool, right? So professors and college courses, they can study this and talk about it, and they don't have to worry about getting a license. All right, that's cool. They have a cap. So if you do trading activity below $5,000, which is kind of minimal in the crypto space, right? Especially when we're talking about the low margins that some activity would produce. But if it's under $5,000 annually, you don't have to get a license. So that's really not much of an exception. And then there's a few others that really dovetail with FinCEN's exception. So there's really not much of a, of a gift there in terms of the industry. What's missing from this, and what I like about the pro and no action states, is there's no exception for direct wallet to wallet. In other words, if you do any exchange activity, you would meet this definition. Any exchange or activity. So all the Bitcoin ATMs that you see right now in the state of California, none of them have a money transmitter license. Not because they're cool and they want to buck the system, but because the state won't issue one. All of those would have to then apply for AB 1489. And if you want to challenge the state, the fines range daily from $10,000 to $50,000 per day for a fine for not being registered as money transmission. I don't know how on earth the Department of Business Oversight, which I would argue is probably already overworked, already has plenty of assignments because they're like a super agency. Not only are they dealing with money transmission, they're dealing with other licenses and business oversight and environmental stuff. So they're going to go on local Bitcoins and they're going to catch a bunch of people selling crypto and then fine them $10,000 to $50,000 a day. So this is utterly impractical. So our firm, and me in particular, we've been writing some articles saying, hey, look, we totally get that no action is not a strategy. You've got to come up with some sort of regulation. Fine, if you want to do this, and pursue that path. But wallet to wallet, you've got to let some things go. If people are doing a direct wallet to wallet transaction, we don't see why they have to have a data security or data recovery if they're doing a contemporaneous transaction, right? I go to Brian and we agree to sell Bitcoin to each other. It's a direct transaction. Happens in that moment, we both leave. One of us has crypto, one of us has cash or some other form of dirty fiat. The transaction is over. There's no promise. There's no promise to deliver at a later time, a later date, destination, nothing like that. We both leave. I don't understand why we would need to go through this process when states like Illinois and Texas, which are going to eat California's lunch if this bill goes forward, why that's going to happen. Because remember, this is in writing. We have regulatory guidance in writing from the IDFPR in Illinois, from the Texas Department of Banking, in writing, 6 pages, state of Texas, very straightforward. They're very straightforward in Texas. 6 pages. You want to do a direct wallet-to-wallet transaction? Not much state money transmitter license. So that's where I think you're going to see a lot more activity pick up. And this is bad news for business, in my opinion, in California.